for joining me. I hope you have been having a fantastic winter break. Today's show is all about the new year. So we're talking New Year's resolutions, things that we'd like to see in 2015, and my top posts of 2014. So without further ado, let's get to my top posts. At number 10 are my oil pastel Picasso roosters. I did a lot of different Picasso-inspired art projects this year, but this one is by far my favorite for two reasons. I love the variety of results that I got from the kids. There are some just absolutely hilarious roosters and chickens that the kids drew. And I also did this with two larger groups of kids than my normally smaller group that I teach. So this is why my Picasso roosters and a few chickens come in at number 10. At number 9 are my gumball and lollipop sculptures. If you are new to Art Intertwine, I do a lot of art projects and art activities based on famous artists. And again, like my Picasso roosters, here we are creating artworks inspired by Wayne Thiebaud. I did a lot of Wayne Thiebaud art, but I chose this particular project because it is one of the few clay projects that I do. I don't use real clay because I don't have a kiln, so I actually use a homemade model magic, which I've had mixed results with, but the lollipop and gumballs are one that I get pretty good results with, and the kids really like creating. At number 8 are my batik cats. There are a lot of steps involved in creating these artworks, but the results are just so worth it. These are not traditional batik, but rather created using Elmer's glue. I use a clear glue. I've seen a couple people have used sort of a bluish sparkly glue, but I like this project, and this is why it's number 8, because it's a different kind of take on traditional canvas painting. So there's still painting involved, but you're doing something a little bit different. You're working on fabric, and with the gluing as well as sort of the makeshift batik. It's something a little bit different for your students to try. At number 7 is my pick out of the category of Best Artistic Inspiration Artists. Throughout the year, I will put up images of different artworks to get you inspired for the day. And this year's top pick in that category is Katarina Gross. In particular, I put up her image of just two of us, which I feel is just absolutely fantastic. I recently saw this artist being interviewed, and I just fell in love with her installation artworks that combine painting and sculptural approaches to create this art that kind of plays with its environment and is just such bright, arresting colors. So that is number 7, Katarina Gross. Coming in at number 6, under the category of art news stories, is Gumhead. And this was a bit of a tough pick because there were a few intriguing art stories this year. In particular, a little bit of an honorable mention is the Stuart Little story I posted about how a lost famous painting was seen in the movie, sort of rediscovered while someone was watching this movie. But I picked Gumhead. Gumhead is the winner because of its Canadian authorship. It has to do with a giant sculpture, public sculpture, created by Douglas Copeland, who is a Canadian artist. And also because it's just so wacky and gross at the same time. Essentially, what Douglas Copeland has done is created an enormous cast of his head, And then he asked the public to put used chewing gum on it, so completely covering his head in used chewing gum. So if you are intrigued by this story, definitely check out my posts about Gumhead and see how well this artwork and this public interaction with art turned out. At number 5 are manga printables that I created. One is manga and anime facial expressions, and the other is how to draw a chibi, which is sort of a very cute version of manga or anime characters. I chose this to include it in my top 10 list because I love the idea of using manga and anime to introduce students to cartooning and as well to figure drawing. Because of its more simplified style, I feel that it's a little bit easier of an introduction for some kids. And I also feel that a lot of students will connect to manga and anime a little bit more readily than, say, traditional cartoons. Coming in at number 4 is my pick for Best Art Fun for Fridays post. On Fridays, I like to post either online game, online resource, something for people just to take a break and enjoy some art making online. This was a very tough pick for me. There was lots of competition this year. A couple of honorable mentions have to go out to doing some online Chihuly glass blowing, a online game called Warhol's World, and there was this year a free Monument Valley download. So tons and tons of competition. All of those are fantastic online resources to use, but I had to pick Rick Rococo because for a free game, it's actually really good. It's somewhat difficult. It gets more difficult with each level, and it also has some fantastic humor involved in it, and it covers a real variety of art. So for those reasons, I had to go with Rick Rococo for number 4. Number 3 is Sybil Andrews. I picked her because she is somewhat of a Canadian artist. Originally she's from England, but she lived in Canada for most of her life after World War II. And she actually lived right here on Vancouver Island, so a local Canadian. How could I not pick her? And I really fell in love with her prints this year. For the artworks that I had my students create, we also used rubber stamped raindrops that made these canvases just something a little bit more special. So for those reasons, number 3 is Sybil Andrews. Coming in at number 2 are my Salvador Dali elephants and surrealist creatures. This was one of the most viewed posts I had from this year, and the kids' imaginations just really went wild with this project. I have everything from saber-toothed tigers to boxy looking dragon creatures that I still am not sure exactly what that was supposed to be, but it's fantastic and it's surrealist, and this was just a wonderful, wonderful project. And that brings me to my top pick of 2014. Number 1 would have to be the Best Dressed Art Teacher / Dress Like a Famous Artist contests put out by Cassie Stevens this year. If you did not check these contests out and you did not enter, these were just two fantastic examples of how art teachers really are the best dressed teachers and are just super creative. I entered both these contests, once as Andy Warhol and again as Salvador Dali. So it was just a lot of fun. It was a great example of getting the art teacher community connected. So for those reasons, number 1 top post of the year is the Best Dressed Art Teacher. So there you have it. Those are my picks for the top posts of 2014. If you think otherwise, leave me a comment below this podcast. Let me know what you think. If you agree, disagree, do you think that there is something that got left out? And with that in mind, there are a couple of honorable mentions that I would just like to cover right now. One being my Da Vinci dragon puppets, which were super, super cool. The kids worked really hard on them. The results were awesome. However, I just couldn't include them this year because last year I had sea monster puppets, and so I was like, I think we gotta give puppets a break. The other post that didn't make it onto the list this year are my homemade art aprons. Last year I did more homemade art supplies, so I couldn't really include homemade art supplies as a category this year, which is why art aprons didn't make it on the list. Before I sign off, I would just like to talk a little bit about what I would love to see more of in 2015. And again, if you have any ideas or comments that you would like to share, totally feel free with it under this blog post. So, what would I like to see in 2015? First off, I would love to see more masks. I have 2 mask posts that I will be posting fairly soon in 2015. And I have seen a lot of masks sort of come up in 2014, so I'd love to see that continue on next year. One thing I'd also really like to see more of are drawing printables. If you go on Pinterest, there are a lot of examples. I haven't gone through a lot to see, okay, which ones are really good, which ones aren't. And if there's a book that you use yourself that you find is fantastic, totally share it with me here and with my followers as well. As for myself, I'd like to make some more homemade art supplies, get a little bit back into that and trying out different things. One of those being, it's not really a art supply, but something that's a little bit homemade, is I've seen a lot of canvas shoes that have been inked up with different art motifs, whether it's Klimt or Van Gogh, and I'm really intrigued by that. I think we're going to see a lot more of that in 2015, so I'm super excited. I hope that that prediction comes true. So those are a few of the things that I would personally like to see more of in 2015. And the flip side of that, what am I completely done with? What do I never want to see ever again? Well, the big thing for me is I don't want to see any more melted crayons on canvases. I don't think it's a great project to do with kids. I've had a colleague of mine try it with failed results. I think it's a Pinterest fail. I think we're done with it. I don't think it's really all that super creative. I think we can do better. So 2014, I hope we say goodbye to melted crayons on canvases. Please, no more of this. Alright, and before I sign off, I'd like to share with you a few of my New Year's resolutions for 2015. First off, and this is probably a resolution for every year, so we'll see how successful it is, but it's to be more organized. Whether it's papers, art supplies, just in general with the art room, organization is always an issue, and you're probably like myself, we can always have things just a little bit more organized. My other resolution for 2015 is to do more of my own art making. Again, we get so focused on our students and getting their artwork completed and having the art room organized, what I was just talking about, but I'd like to make a little bit more time to create my own art and to get back into what I love and what I love to share with my students. Alright, and that's it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you so much again for tuning in. If you'd like to share your New Year's resolutions, what you are completely done with in 2014, what you never want to see again, and what predictions you want to make for 2015, what you would love to see, Please feel free to share it on Art Intertwine by leaving a comment under this podcast blog post. Alright everyone, thank you so much for tuning in and have a great start to 2015.